Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about the uh, uh, additional material which was left over in the topics we have to cover. So the table of contents we are going to discuss today are like do while loops, engineering examples, and engineering examples using arrays and engineering examples using methods, and then command line arguments and how we can use the line arguments with the files, and we'll see two examples how we are going to use these methods and other command line arguments so practically, and we'll do some coding over there, and we'll check the output how we are getting. So though the two examples we are going to check are the output art, and the other one is how we can calculate grades of the students. So do while loops, basically, do while loop is a loop construct that first executes the loop body's statements, then it checks the loop condition. In while condition, we only first check the condition, then we'll start executing the statements inside that loop. So, but in do while loop, it should be like firstly the loop will run, and then at the end, it will check the condition. So it is useful when the loop should iterate at least once. So here you can see one example, like this is different example, engineering example for using arrays. So how we are going to solve some problems. So one problem is computing the voltage drop across a series of resistors. So if the voltage across the resistors is V, and the current through those resistors would be like calculated by voltage over the sum of the resistances, and the voltage drop is also calculated across the resistor X is then like V is equals to I into Rx. And now the current program uses an array to store a user enters set of resistance values, computes I, then computes the voltage drop across each resistor and stores each in another array, and finally it prints the results. So here in the code you can see, so firstly we are taking the values of like input voltage, and then the resistors, 5 resistors which are in series, and then we are calculating the current value by voltage over some of the resistances, and then we are calculating the voltage drop. So here is the output. If you give supply the input voltage as 12, and if you enter the 5 resistors which are in series as like 3.3, 1.5, 2, 4 and 2.2, then the voltage drop per resistance would be calculated like below. And another example is like getting an equation. So an equation used in physics and chemistry that relates pressure, volume and temperature of a gas is PV equal to nRT. You all know that, like, P is the pressure, V is the volume, and T is the temperature, and N is the number of moles, and R is a constant. So the method below outputs the temperature of a gas given the other values. So here you can calculate the temperature provided if the user enters these pressure, volume, and other values. So the output would be, if you enter the pressure in pascals as 2500, and the volume in cubic meters 35.5, and the number of moles as 18, then the temperature would be 593 in Kelvin. And coming to command line arguments, so these are the values entered by a user when running a program from a command line. A command line exists in some program execution environments wherein a user types a program's name and any arguments at a command prompt. So in order to access those arguments, main function can be defined with a special parameter args, as shown in the the code here, and then the program prints provided command line arguments. The for loop is not critical to understand in order to understand the point. So if you, in case you haven't studied for loops yet, you can go through them. So here when a program is run, the system passes the parameter args to main function defined as an array of strings. Uh, args is known as the arguments array and has one string for each command line argument. A program can determine the number of command line arguments by accessing args length field. Example like int args equal to args.length. So when a program uses command line arguments, it is a good practice like to check args.length for the correct number of arguments. If the number of command line arguments is incorrect, then the good practice is to print a usage message. It lists a program's expected command line arguments.